Do you ever notice that your vision seems perfectly acceptable during the day, but then as evening comes, something changes? The room gets dimmer, the words on a page lose their sharpness, and suddenly your eyes do not feel as reliable as they did just a few hours earlier. Maybe you sit down with a book after dinner and find yourself moving it farther away, turning on an extra lamp, blinking again and again, hoping the page will somehow become clearer. Or perhaps the most stressful moment comes when you are driving at night and the headlights from oncoming cars feel painfully bright. Road markings seem harder to judge, and the entire visual world feels less stable than it once did. Many older adults assume this is simply the unavoidable price of aging. They say to themselves, "Of course my eyes are weaker now. That is just normal." But while aging absolutely changes the eyes, what many people do not understand is that blurry vision at night is not always just about age alone. In many cases, it is the result of several very specific changes happening inside the eyes at the same time. Changes involving the lens, the tear film, the retina, blood flow, light adaptation, and even the way the brain processes visual information in low light. Hello, I'm Dr. Adrian Keller, and in today's video, we're talking about why your vision gets blurrier at night after 60. This is one of the most common, but least clearly explained issues in senior health. People are often told, "Your eyes are just getting older," but that does not really help them understand what is happening. And once you understand what is happening, you begin to realize something very important. While you may not be able to stop every age-related change, there is often a great deal you can do to support your eyes more intelligently, reduce visual strain, and protect your confidence after dark. So let us start with the most basic question. Why do the eyes often seem to work better in bright daylight and then struggle so much more at night? To understand that, I want you to think of the eye as a highly sophisticated camera. During the day, when there is plenty of light, even a camera with some limitations can still produce a decent picture. Bright light gives the system more information to work with. Edges are clearer. Contrast is stronger. The eye does not have to fight as hard to create a usable image. But once the light drops, everything changes. The eye must work harder, adapt faster, and process visual information with much less support. That is when small weaknesses suddenly become much more noticeable. And after 60, several of those weaknesses often begin appearing at the same time. The first major reason nighttime vision gets blurrier is that the pupil does not adjust as well as it once did. When you are younger, the pupil expands and contracts more efficiently depending on how much light is available. In a dark environment, it opens wider to let in more light. That helps you see better in low light conditions. But as we age, the pupil often becomes less responsive. It does not widen as fully or as quickly as it used to. That means less light reaches the retina, especially in dim environments. And when less light reaches the retina, the image the brain receives becomes weaker. Think of it like trying to look through a window at dusk. If the window opens fully, you get the maximum amount of light and air coming through. But if the window only opens halfway, the room stays dimmer. That is essentially what happens in the aging eye. The system simply does not let in as much light as it once did. This is one of the reasons many seniors say things like, "I can still see, but everything feels darker," or "I need much more light than I used to." And that is not their imagination. It is a real physical change. The second major reason is the lens itself. Inside the eye, the lens helps focus light. When we are younger, that lens is clearer and more flexible. As we get older, the lens gradually becomes denser, less flexible, and often a little more yellowed. This affects both sharpness and light transmission. In simple terms, the lens is no longer passing light through as cleanly as it used to. Now, in bright daylight, you may still manage fairly well. But at night, every bit of lost clarity matters more. The system already has less light to work with, so even a small reduction in lens clarity becomes much more noticeable. This is also one reason glare becomes such a problem after 60. When light from headlights or street lamps hits an aging lens, it may scatter more than it used to. Instead of forming a clean image, it creates glare, halos, or a washed-out feeling that makes night driving much more stressful. This is why many older adults say, "The lights at night feel so much brighter than they used to." Often, the lights themselves are not dramatically different. The way the eye is handling them has changed. The third reason involves the retina, especially the part of the retina responsible for seeing in dim light. The retina contains special cells that help you see under different lighting conditions. Some of these cells are especially important in low light. As we age, their efficiency often declines. That means dark adaptation becomes slower. In other words, when you move from a bright environment into a dim one, your eyes need more time to adjust. And even after they adjust, the final result may still not feel as crisp as it once did. This becomes obvious in situations like entering a darker room, walking through a dim hallway, reading in the evening, or driving after sunset. The brain is waiting for the eyes to catch up, and that catch-up process gets slower with age. This is also why some seniors say, "It takes me forever to adjust when I go from light to dark." That is a real change, not just a feeling. Now let us talk about another major factor that almost nobody explains clearly enough: dry eyes. This one surprises many people because they do not connect dryness with blurry vision. They assume dry eyes should feel dry, itchy, or sandy, but not necessarily blurry. In reality, the tear film covering the surface of the eye is incredibly important for visual clarity. It acts like a smooth optical surface. If that surface is stable, the image entering the eye stays cleaner. But if the tear film becomes uneven, patchy, or unstable, the image becomes less sharp. And this becomes more common after 60 because tear production and tear quality often decline with age. The eyes may not stay as well lubricated, especially later in the day when they are already tired. So by the evening, the eye surface is more vulnerable. That can make print harder to read, lights more irritating, and visual focus much more frustrating. This is one reason many older adults notice that their vision seems to come and go a little in the evening. It is not always the lens changing minute to minute. Sometimes it is the tear film becoming more unstable as the day goes on. The fourth major reason has to do with visual fatigue. Your eyes are working all day long. From the moment you wake up, they are focusing, adjusting, tracking movement, judging depth, reading screens, reading labels, reacting to brightness, and helping your brain interpret the visual world. By evening, those systems are tired. The tiny muscles involved in focus have done hours of work. The tear film has been challenged all day. The retina has been exposed to light for hours. The entire system is more fatigued than it was in the morning. That means the evening is when weaknesses become visible. This is why someone may say, "I can read in the morning, but by evening my eyes are finished." That is often exactly what is happening. The eyes are not only older, they are tired. And then there is circulation. This is the part many people do not think about. The eyes are not just passive windows. They are living tissue. And like all living tissue, they depend on blood flow. The retina, in particular, has high metabolic demands. It needs oxygen and nutrients continuously. If circulation is not ideal, visual performance may become less reliable, especially in lower light, when the system is already under more pressure. After 60, blood vessels often become less flexible. Blood sugar problems become more common, and hydration may be less ideal. All of these things affect how well delicate tissues are supported. That means the eye's ability to perform in demanding conditions, such as nighttime or dim lighting, may be reduced even further. This is why blurry vision at night is often not caused by one single issue. It is usually a layered problem: less responsive pupils, a denser lens, slower dark adaptation, more glare, a weaker tear film, visual fatigue, and less resilient support from circulation and metabolism. Now, I want to talk specifically about night driving, because that is where many seniors feel this problem most intensely. Night driving combines almost all the difficult visual conditions at once. There is low light, there is high contrast, there is oncoming glare, there are shadows, there are signs that need to be read quickly, there are lane markings that may be faint, there are fast changes in brightness. This is like asking an aging visual system to perform under maximum pressure. And if the eyes are already dealing with a less flexible pupil, more lens glare, a drier surface, slower adaptation, and fatigue, then driving at night can feel exhausting or even frightening. This does not mean everyone should stop driving at night immediately. But it does mean that the struggle many seniors feel is real and understandable. They are not becoming timid for no reason. Their visual system is being asked to do more with less. Now let us talk about the difference between normal age-related changes and signs that deserve more serious attention. Some increase in nighttime blur, glare, and slower adjustment is common with age. But there are certain patterns that deserve more caution. If glare has become dramatically worse, that may deserve an eye exam. If vision seems much blurrier in one eye than the other, that matters. If you notice sudden changes in low-light vision, that matters. If straight lines look distorted, that matters. If you see flashes of light, a curtain effect, or a sudden shower of new floaters, that matters immediately. If the blur does not improve with blinking, rest, or better lighting, that also deserves evaluation. This is where I always tell seniors, do not assume everything is just aging. Some things are age-related. Some things need care. The goal is not fear. The goal is attention. Now, let us move into what actually helps. The first thing that helps is light. Not harsh light, but adequate light. Many seniors are simply forcing their eyes to work in environments that are too dim. They sit under weak lighting and then blame themselves when the page looks blurry. After 60, your eyes often need more supportive lighting, not because you are weak, but because the optical system needs more input to produce a clear image. A well-placed reading lamp, warmer balanced lighting in the room, and avoiding overly dim spaces can make a very meaningful difference. The second thing that helps is reducing visual fatigue in the evening. If your eyes are already tired, then a long evening of screen time, tiny print, or bright television contrast makes the problem worse. This is why visual breaks matter. The 20-20-20 principle can help. Every 20 minutes, look at something about 20 feet away for 20 seconds. It sounds simple, but it gives the focusing system a break and reduces strain. Evening is not the time to push tired eyes into more exhaustion. The third thing that helps is supporting the tear film. If dry eye is part of your nighttime blur, then eye comfort matters much more than people think. Blinking fully, taking visual breaks, staying hydrated, and managing screen habits all help support the tear film. Many people do not realize how often they stare at a screen or television without blinking enough. The surface of the eye dries out, and vision becomes less stable. This is one reason some people say, If I blink a few times, things look slightly better for a moment. That is a clue. It suggests the tear film may be part of the issue. The fourth thing that helps is better evening nutrition. Now, I do not want to oversell food as if one snack changes everything instantly. But your visual system is living tissue, and living tissue depends on nourishment. I have already told you in earlier videos that foods like blueberries can be supportive for eye health because of the antioxidants they contain, especially as part of a calming evening routine. This is not magic. It is support, and support matters more than people think. But even more important than a special food is avoiding habits that work against the eyes at night. Large, sugary desserts, heavy, late meals, poor hydration, and long hours of harsh screen use all create a body that is less ready to support visual recovery overnight. The fifth thing that helps is checking your glasses and prescriptions realistically. Many people continue struggling with nighttime blur simply because they have not had their vision properly reviewed in too long. They adapt gradually and do not realize how much their needs have changed. And because low-light vision exposes weaknesses more clearly, nighttime often becomes the first place they really feel the mismatch. The sixth thing that helps is accepting that the eyes now need a more supportive environment than they did at 40. This is important emotionally, not just physically. A lot of frustration comes from expecting your 70-year-old eyes to behave like your 40-year-old eyes under the same conditions. They may not. That does not mean you are helpless. It means the strategy must change. More light, less strain, better timing, better hydration, better support, more realistic respect for what your eyes are dealing with. Now, let us talk about the emotional side of nighttime blur, because it affects more than vision. When your vision feels less reliable, confidence often drops. People become more hesitant at night. They read less. They avoid going out after dark. They drive less. They feel older than they are. The world becomes slightly smaller because the visual environment feels less trustworthy. And that matters deeply because vision is not just about seeing. It is about confidence, movement, safety, and independence. If menus become too frustrating, social outings feel harder. If headlights feel overwhelming, driving becomes stressful. If dim hallways feel visually confusing, mobility confidence drops. If the eyes feel tired and blurry every evening, the day starts ending earlier than it should. That is why I care so much about this topic, because blurry vision at night is not a trivial complaint. It can quietly change the shape of a person's life. But the good news is that understanding the cause changes the experience. Once you understand that your eyes are not simply failing, but dealing with very specific age-related changes, the problem becomes more manageable. You stop blaming yourself. You start supporting the system better. You adapt intelligently instead of simply feeling defeated. So let us bring this together in a practical evening strategy. If your vision gets blurrier at night after 60, improve your evening lighting, reduce harsh screen strain, take visual breaks, blink more fully, support hydration during the day, avoid overly dim reading conditions, use supportive nutrition habits, and make sure your eyes have been properly evaluated when needed. These steps may sound simple, but they work with the biology of the aging eye, instead of fighting against it. Before we finish, I want to ask you something. When do you notice the problem most? Is it reading in the evening, driving after dark, restaurant menus, television, moving through darker rooms, or glare from headlights? Tell me your age and where you are watching from today, and tell me when your vision feels least reliable. I read your comments, and they help me understand exactly what this community is going through. And let me leave you with this. Your eyes have served you faithfully for decades. They have helped you read, work, drive, recognize faces, watch your family grow, and see the beauty of ordinary life. If they need more support now, that is not failure. That is a sign of changing biology. And changing biology deserves smarter care, not resignation. So if your vision gets blurrier at night after 60, do not assume there is nothing to understand and nothing to do. There is often a very real explanation. And once you understand it, you can make better decisions that protect comfort, confidence, and independence. I'm Dr. Adrian Keller, and it's been a pleasure spending this time with you today. Take good care of your eyes, respect what they are telling you, and keep creating the kind of daily habits that help you stay sharp, steady, and confident in every light. I look forward to our next conversation. Until then, take very good care of yourself.